Hello students, today I'm going to give you a little walkthrough of the course registration form for those of you that are planning to enter the IB program in the 11th grade. I hope you've gotten a lot of information from your teachers and maybe from your classmates and your grade level counselor and other resources that you have. What I'm really going to focus on today are the choices that you have, some of the choices you don't have as you enter the IB program in grade 11, and hopefully get your course registration form completed and correct by the time it's due. So if you're entering the IB program as a junior next year in the 11th grade, there's some classes where you don't have any choice, and so I'm going to go through those very quickly. The first two of those classes, one is taking English 11 IB. The second class that's required for everyone entering the IB program is the History of America's 11 IB as well. So those are two classes that really don't need a lot of discussion because those are two of the required classes where you don't have any options. Where you do start to get into some options, and some that I really want to spend a little more time talking through, are in your math sequence as well as your science options. The easiest way to think about math and to try to explain math to you is to first of all consider the class that you're taking this year. For example, this year, if you are taking Algebra 2 Trig pre-AP in your sophomore year, which a lot of you are, the next class you would take in this sequence, regardless of IB, would be this class that's on the list here. It's called Pre-Calculus pre-AP. So most people go, for example, from Algebra 2 Trig pre-AP in grade 10 to Pre-Calculus pre-AP in grade 11. Now, IB requires a few different topics be taught in addition to pre-cal. There's also a different assessment in IB. So we have actually created a separate class that's using the IB name, which we substitute for pre-cal pre-AP. So next year, if you would be taking pre-cal pre-AP were you not in IB, the class that you'll sign up for is over here. It's called IB Math SL. SL stands for Standard Level, which indicates a one-year course. It says pre-calculus in parentheses, so that will remind you that it lines up with pre-cal. Okay, it meets all of the requirements. All the curriculum of pre-AP pre-cal is included in this class. It includes some of those additional IB topics such as statistics and probability. So that's one of your options. Others of you are taking a team class this year, so you're on Algebra 2 Trig team. If that's the case for you, I suggest that you continue with team and you'll take the course called IB Pre-Calculus Team next year in grade 11. A second option there. In some cases, this year as a 10th grader, you might have taken regular Algebra 2 Trig, for example, or you might be taking Algebra 2 Trig pre-AP and you are barely keeping your head above water. You're in over your head. All those kind of different metaphors come to mind. There is another course that you might consider that's called Math Studies Standard Level. Again, notice it doesn't have IB in front of it. However, in terms of content, in terms of assessment, this is an IB course. The SL again stands for Standard Level. It's a one-year course. It is equivalent to regular pre-calculus. So if your choice of math class next year would be pre-calculus, if you're in the IB program, the class you're going to take is Math Studies Standard Level. Clear as mud? Hopefully a little clearer than that. But again, check with your math teacher, check with me if you have questions about this. But simply, the easiest way to do this is to align the class you would take next year, for example, pre-cal pre-AP, with the IB equivalent, which is IB Math SL. Pre-calculus, the equivalent is Math Studies Standard Level, and of course the equivalent for team is to continue in the path toward team. A second area where there is a little bit more to think about, a real decision to be made, is in the area of science. And you'll notice there are numerous classes under science that have AP somewhere in the title. IB students take 2 years of the same science. So one of your science choices will be between biology, which next year will be biology 11 IB, or chemistry 11 IB. One thing to keep in mind as you make this decision really will carry through into your senior year as well. If you take Biology 11 as a junior, you'll take Biology 12 as a senior. IB goes into great depth in the science courses, so you take 2 years of the same science. Of course, the same would be true for chemistry. If you take chemistry in 11th grade, you'll be continuing that to take chemistry 12 as a senior. These are what I would call your 2-year science options, biology or chemistry. IB students do not take both. Additionally, you have a couple of choices down here, environmental systems IB and IB physics. These are 1-year IB science courses. For the state of Alabama, this gives you an additional credit of a science, either an earth science like environmental systems or a physical science such as IB physics. In terms of IB, this 1-year science will count as your IB elective. In the next presentation, I'll talk about some of the other elective options, but I wanted to mention these as 2 of your elective options if you want to concentrate in sciences. Also, if you're doing the engineering academy as well as IB, you'll want to take IB physics as a junior because physics is a co-requisite course for engineering academy. But at least you can take the physics and count it as your IB elective as well as your co-requisite physics for engineering academy. So, to review, you'll sign up for 1 science course that will take 2 years. You may, if you choose, take a second science course of environmental systems or IB physics. These 2 are not required. They're options, they're electives. One of these first 2, biology or chemistry, is required. We're going to finish up the front of the page here, and I'm going to move to the second part of the page in the next presentation. Your choice in foreign language is actually fairly simple. You'll take the next course in your sequence. So if you're in the 10th grade, and for example, you are taking, let's say, Spanish 2, or you're probably taking Spanish 2 Advanced in the 10th grade, your next course in the sequence is Spanish 3 Pre-AP. Some of you, I realize, in the 10th grade are taking Spanish 3 already because you started Spanish in middle school. You're going to take the next course in your sequence, which is Spanish 4 IB. The 4th year of a language is the designated year to finish the IB requirements. That's why you'll notice Spanish 4 includes IB in the title, French 4 includes IB in the title, as does Latin 4. So the foreign language, if you're in the 2nd year this year, you take the 3rd year next year. If you're in the 3rd year this year, next year you will take the 4th year, which is also your IB class. This will wrap up our discussion of the front of this page where your core classes, your required academic classes are included. In the next presentation, I'll talk about some of the elective options on the back of this form.